Okay, good morning, fellow teammates across the TAG, PDA, MPSA. Whether you're here in the building personally or out there virtually, it's nice to get to meet you. Unfortunately, we can't do this in person because that would be my preference. But I also didn't want to wait too long to give you an opportunity to get to know me, set some expectations, and also give me an opportunity to get to know you. And at the end, I'd like to answer some questions. We have a couple that have already come in. I'll answer them to the best of my ability. And if I don't know, I will make sure and get an answer back to you. And then I look forward to a future, sorry, we're getting a live feedback. I also look forward to future town halls where I can put out some more information and recognize excellence across our organization. So I'm going to go to slide 1. If you didn't get a chance to get the slides and you'd like them, we'll make sure and get you a copy. And really this is just a couple bullets of getting to know me. So I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a soldier. I'm a mom to a 22-year-old as of June 12th. She just graduated from the Fashion Institute for Design Merchandising in LA. Made it out of LA, even though through all the closures, and is now living in Austin, Texas. My husband is Mike, and he's a retired colonel. He does some competitive shooting and really makes sure everything else is taken care of so I can do what I love right now. And so he's back and forth between here and Austin doing competitive shooting. And lastly, I'm a soldier. I love our profession of arms. I love every single day, the good and the bad. I was an ROTC graduate. I started at the University of Oklahoma, and then I transferred to Cameron University, and I received a scholarship. I took the long road. I took a 5-year plan, so I was a special kind of student, but I had to work full time. And I said when I joined, I'm going to join for 4 years, and here I am 24 plus years later. So I truly love what we do. I love what we're about, and I'm proud to be part of the organization. Other thing I wanted to touch on is glass half full. I'm an optimist. Doesn't mean I'm Pollyanna. I understand that bad things happen, but when that glass gets tipped over, you know, we clean it up and put it back up. So I ask, you know, for your optimism as well, and if not, at least your realism. Time. I try really hard to manage my time well, and I expect others to do the same. I think it's important where you spend your energy and where you spend your time says a lot about what your priorities are. Timeliness is a pet peeve of mine. If we say we're going to start at a certain time, I expect to do so. Reality happens, so I understand. I just need to know if those expectations aren't going to be met. So to make sure you know the good and the bad of me, patience, maybe not my strong suit for some of those that know me personally. I'm also having to deal with an adjustment from the pace of Pentagon life over the last 2 years and, 14-hour days or more, and to here. I do love it already. I see sun in the morning, and I see sun at night, and I see a lot of happy people doing a lot of great things. So first impression is a really, really good one. So work with me and be patient with me as I ask questions. I promise not to ask rhetorical ones. I really want to know. Based on where I came from, last position, for those that don't know, as the G1XO, I really have a great appreciation for what the TAG organization, PDA, and MPSA actually provide, but I don't have a true appreciation for the depth of everything that you do, so I really look forward to learning more. Comment on less is more. I really believe that simplicity in our actions, simplicity in our slides, and our words, it matters, and more is not always better when needed, obviously. So don't add complexity where it's not needed. If you've ever read about Occam's razor, you know, the simplest approach or answer is probably the right one. I kind of started that as my starting position. And lastly, you know, as I entered this position, I need you to know Sergeant Major is my battle buddy. I was raised with NCOs being the bedrock. From my first NCOIC that I still remember, Staff Sergeant Brooks, he made me a better officer. My third position, my detachment sergeant, Staff Sergeant Jones, now CW5 Elisa Robinson, taught me that I could take counsel, that we could disagree, but once we opened that door, there was only one decision, and it was a team decision. So from that, I really mean that Sergeant Major is my right arm. And if you haven't used them, as a tool, as an asset, I encourage you to do so because I know I do. Slide 2, talk about a little bit of expectations for the team. The Army's a team sport, and there's only team players, not individual team players. This isn't an ice skating competition. So whether you're on the field or on a bench, I expect us to all, get along at least on a professional level. Be kind and work well with others. Doesn't mean you'll always agree. And make sure that you assist others across the organization and be a good teammate. With that, we're all going to have a little bit of personal thoughts on different people, and some of you have worked a long time with one another, so you know the good and the bad, but I just ask you to keep it professional. If you can't, reach out across your teammates to get help, and hopefully there's not a lot of drama, because the Army really is bigger than one person, one section, one organization, and we can only win as a team. Do what needs done. You hear it simply, hey, do the right thing. But I don't think you understand what great credibility every single one of you has with the Army senior leaders. And luckily I got close and I was able to see the true appreciation. So whether it's from the casualty section, from military postal services to PDA, working through the IDES process or the awards section, our Army senior leaders really appreciate what you do, and we have credibility in the bank, and that matters. But given that, when you have the opportunity to get a quick win, a quick yes, that softball win, take advantage of that, because there's going to be days when we fail, and that's okay, especially when you have credibility in the bank. We'll learn from it, and we move on. And so I just asked you, treat each action as if it's your own. From my old PSB days, that's what I've always learned. If it were my action, how would I process it? If it was your brothers, your sisters, your wife's, your dad's, whether it's a soldier in uniform or a retiree, if it was your action, how would you want it processed? Obviously, at least legally. So I appreciate your continued efforts in getting our credibility in the bank. Treat each other with dignity and respect, period. That's what we're supposed to do, and that's what we should do. If you feel like you're not being treated with dignity and respect, first of all, acknowledge that that is happening, because if someone is not doing it and you haven't told them, maybe they don't know. Use your chain of command, use your leadership, and if not, use my battle buddy and use me. And if it's one of us that don't treat you with dignity and respect, please bring it up at any time, because I truly mean that. All of us are volunteers, and we should be treated as such. Coaching. I said coaching, you see a comment about counseling and equipping. Leaders should coach, but not all of us are good coaches, and that's okay. But I think as you work towards helping your subordinates and your peers, counseling is telling them, hey, this is what we need to do. These are your requirements for the job. But it's also equipping them not in this job, but what they want to do, whether it's a civilian or a military member. So work towards coaching them to excellence. In the coming days, I will set up my own coaching and counseling times with you all, and I look forward to it. So, and I mean, lastly, if your dignity and respect, through that coaching should apply as well. So I talked about what a great organization we have, TAG, PDA, and MPSA. But remember, no matter how good you are, talent's a gift. But character is a choice. And true test of character is when things aren't going well, how do we respond? And there's going to be some bad days. And each of us know that. And so I look forward to the opportunity and the challenge. And at the very end, character is a choice. And that's our legacy. So, choose a great character. So slide 3, getting to know you. Again, I wish I didn't have to do it virtually. For those of you, there's some people across this organization that have known me as a captain. If you're surprised watching today, you probably are part of this success. And I thank you for it. But I look forward to your continuous coaching as well and helping me. I look forward to the organizations, individually learning them, the divisions, and you as individuals. Look forward to some touch points. I've asked my office to set up bi-weekly updates with each of the divisions in TAG. We'll continue with the weekly updates and consolidation of PDA. And I've asked for a weekly update touch point with MPSA. And I also look forward to maybe just picking up the phone, reaching out to some of you individually, and getting together with you all for some future training. So what do I mean by must do, supposed to do, should do? Okay, law, policy, statute, must do, unless we want to change them. And that could be an opportunity. Supposed to do, some of the things regulatory, although there are always exceptions. Ask that we look across that, our SOPs within our organizations, and do the right thing. Must do and supposed to do. Should do. Should do to me are those things you know you should probably do, and you should do them even when others aren't watching. That's probably a good challenge as we telework, but I'm hearing some great news stories about those that have been at home and continue to do everything we should do and not just what we must do. So I appreciate that. And that goes back to what we should and must do for our soldiers and our retirees. Some of the parts, specifically to the TAG divisions, I think this applies, is we're only as good as our pieces working together. Individually, someone might stand out, and that's okay. But our reputation is the sum of our parts, and I look forward to, working with you, and none of us succeed alone. So, that's your legacy in the TAG. Whether you're here for a year or if you've been here 20, I look forward to contributing to the team. And so lastly, I'll talk about culture. I know an organization doesn't change for one person. A person fits into that organization. But I'm always interested when I join a new team, getting a true appreciation for their culture. What's the norm? How do we normally do things? What do we value as an organization? That says a lot about who we are. And then how do we act internally and externally? So I look forward to contributing and fitting into this new culture across TAG, PDA, and MPSA. So with that, I think looking forward, I'll make a couple comments. Some of them are going to hit on a few of the questions that we received, and then we'll move into questions. I got my battle buddy here in the room, so if you hear someone chime in, I have TAG Ops in the room in case they need to chime in. And if not, we'll take down the questions, and I promise that I will get back to you. And an answer may be, I don't know, and I'll find out. So just be prepared for that. So slide 4, I already talked about coaching and counseling. In the next 30 to 60 days, I'll do Raider and Senior Raider counseling sessions. I'll do some group ones at first, talk about philosophy, see what your questions are, and later I'll set up some individual coaching sessions for those that I rate, and then move from there. At any time, though, if there's someone that wants to see me get a career opinion, and you think you're bothering me, you're not. Through the years, I've collected a lot of people and continue to do that, and it's something I really, really enjoy, and hope to keep time for. And when I say time, it can be in the evenings and on the weekends when you have free time. Diversity and inclusion. Some of you may have had the opportunity to be on the CG's initial sessions, and now within TAG Ops, they're putting together a plan. It'll mirror kind of what the CG has done. As they put that out, if you have suggestions on how that could better be laid out or how those sessions meet, I ask you to please reach out to TAG Ops, Sergeant Major Brown, or reach out to Sergeant Major Williams and make your suggestion known. But at the end of the day, I really look forward to having these tough, necessary discussions that we need to have. And this really goes back to dignity and respect, and respecting what everyone brings to the team. So I look forward to those sessions. Resiliency training, I know internally some resiliency training has occurred. Some of the, separate from the MRT 12-step process that some of you are finishing up. I'm going to provide some different opportunities at the branch level and below, because small group is better, and so I look forward to maybe sitting in on some of those sessions with you, whether it's in a Zoom session or not. And then really for teammates, if you don't really know your folks, or you've known them for 15 years, so you just assume that they're doing okay and they're a great worker, so you don't feel like you need to micromanage them. If you haven't seen someone in quite a while, FaceTime, Zoom, a phone call, but then FaceTime matters. Look them in the eye, check on them. And we have a senior organization, so we assume that senior leaders are doing better than junior members, and that's not always the case. So I ask you, if you haven't looked them in the eyeballs lately, make a plan to do so. Check on them, ask them if they're okay, and stop and listen. Don't just get the, yeah, I'm doing fine. Get the so what of it. So COVID transition and telework. So it's been super fun. If you see that I'm a little awkward on screen, I have not had the opportunity to telework, so I haven't had a chance to perfect my, TikTok dances or anything. So I'll work on that. And I see in this job that I get to get on screen a little bit more than I'm comfortable with. I may even have to start wearing, full face paint or something. But I think for COVID, I'll address some of the questions that were asked. Bottom line is the CG is reviewing a plan right now. I don't know what that plan looks like. I do know that eventual phased part of it, they'll be revisited on 20 July as the next session with the CG, because it's going to be conditions-based and not times-based. For the telework, they're looking at all options right now. I think what will probably come out of the CG suggestion is an overall HRC recommended telework policy. I do think across TAG we may have an opportunity to go back to the CG and say, hey, 1 doesn't fit all within our organizations. And I think he'll listen to that. But I think individually, for your expectations, at some point, you should all plan on physically having to come back to work. What that looks like and how many days a week, I don't know yet. Safety. So I mentioned safety at telework. Don't trip over the cords. Seriously, set it up, make sure you're safe. It's fun getting to see everybody's home set up, but it's different than being in the office, and we don't have a safety officer walking around to yell at us about tying up the cord. So, make sure you're safe at work, but also whether it be in the building or work at home. And also it's July, it's the summer months, and fact is that July is one of our deadliest months. And so that's not something to take lightly, and it goes back to being resilient, checking on our teammates, but then checking yourself too. If you're not a good swimmer, don't say I'm going to go rafting this weekend and not have a life vest on. We've already lost in the Army a couple people from that exact incident this summer. If you're a motorcycle rider, wear your PPE, and you know that it's not necessarily you, but being prepared for the others around you. Don't drink and drive. Stay safe in everything that you're doing to have fun this summer. And also July really is a month that there's a seam in the road because there's a lot of transition. I know I've only been here less than 2 weeks. I've had neighbors come check on me. Hey, do you need anything? I've had family come in. And it's a time when those people that are most close to you may not physically be with you. So I ask that we check on our new teammates or those that haven't been in the building for a while. So now I'll move to questions. I know some that we've already received were on the telework I've already mentioned, on the COVID, and then safety in the workplace. So I would like to open it up to any other questions, and you'll see me kind of looking in the back of the room. We're going to do hand and arm signals. Or if you guys want to say any questions out loud, Sergeant Major.
Nothing right now, ma'am.
I'm going to pause for a few, and then I have a closing act.
No questions right now, ma'am.
Okay, that's okay. If we're a little slow to get, you don't have to ask a question, and if you think of one later, email it to me or email it to Sergeant Major, and I will answer it. I'm going to turn it over. Sergeant Major's in the back of the room on the microphone, and so hey, Sergeant Major, based on my initial comments or anything you think that our greater organization needs to know, any comments from you?
Well, hey, first of all, hey, good morning, team. Hey, this is the voice of Sergeant Major Williams because I actually have a face for radio. So just want to let everybody know that. So this is an awesome opportunity for me because I'm not in front of the screen like General Rampy. Hey, I just want to hit some touch points. Hey, the one thing I truly do know is that General Rampy and myself, as well as the TAG leadership, is definitely looking forward to the diversity and inclusion training and discussion. You know, there's always been a saying that was told to me by my grandfather that, hey, you know, whether you're in a fight, you know, usually somewhere in your life you get a scar somewhere. And when you look at it, it kind of reminds you of something that you might have done to yourself or what happened, but you heal from it. Well, same thing with this diversity and inclusion training, right? Just going to give us an opportunity to get insight from each and every one of you so that we can learn and grow as a team. All right, so I would tell you we're definitely looking forward to the diversity and inclusion training. We know, once again, that that General Callaway, Sergeant Major Thorpe, and their team has already started their particular focus group. Just last week we got the op order, so TAG Ops, just as General Rampy has said, we're working all the particulars in reference to our focus group and what's coming in the near future, so we're definitely looking forward to that. Any reference to leave, I know that that's also been pushed out. You know, just bottom line front, the leave policy it has opened up almost exactly the same as it was before, where we can go to almost any location. Now, it does get vetted through the TAG leadership. There might be some concerns about safety because, of course, we require the whole team, and I say the whole team, every leader has to be accountable to include any of our team members that are going on leave. You know, identifying whether if you're sick, if you're having a fever, any of those things, we all have to take that personal accountability before you leave. And also, you know, expectation is you take some of that personal accountability for yourself if you come back and you know that you potentially been around anyone that's exposed to COVID-19. Prime example that I will give you is just like with our Child Development Center. I was talking to the Garrison CSM. You know, an individual went on leave, went to a location that was one of the top hot spots that you may have heard on the news, came back, was around individuals that had symptoms, and brought their child back to the CDC, and now the CDC is closed down. And all we need individuals to do is take personal responsibility. It's not all on the leader. Some of it is on you as the individual team member, but leaders also have to be involved because we all have to be reminded, because we can't see the COVID physically, so we just got to be very mindful in reference to that. That also ties into you know wearing our masks and doing the social distancing. And then lastly, those that are viewing through GCDS, we know that we may not be able to see your questions. So once again, if you have any questions that want to be addressed, and this is to anyone, please you can send your questions to TAG Ops, send to myself, and then we'll make sure that we'll get your response. So hey, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for being part of this awesome team.
All right, thanks, Sir Major. Just to close out, and in case we don't have any questions, for those that haven't been in the building, talking about wearing the mask, so that's a great point, Sir Major. Thanks for bringing that up. If you do come back in the building, it's a requirement. Outside of your offices, in the public spaces, have a mask on. And remember, it's not just about you, but the others that you're passing in the hallway. I know yesterday I passed a cleaner, you know, walking around without their mask on, and they're only in the hallways. So I said, hey, you've got to put your mask on. That's an individual responsibility. So if you see anybody and you're in the building, to include myself, you know, make that on the spot correction so we're doing the right thing. And then for those that are coming back to the building or in the building but you haven't really ventured out yet, they did open back up the food court, and it's reduced seating, but they're encouraging those who've been bringing lunch for the last 3 months, go give them some business. If you feel like, you know, maybe taking the 3 people that are in your office to lunch, that might be a good location. Dunkin' Donuts is open. I love Dunkin' Donuts coffee, so pretty excited about that. It's only open till 11 a.m., so get hot donut sandwiches, coffee before 11 a.m. And I really look forward to meeting all of you, reaching out to you. And again, thank you so much for what you do for soldiers and retirees on a daily basis. And soldiers first.